back to the Financial Review 2025. The cuts in interest rates boosted the city's property and financial markets, and the Chinese government introduced stimulus measures bolstering the economy. But tensions rose in the Sino-U.S. relationship as the U.S. tariff war threatened to dampen the year.
2025 began with hopes that the interest rates would continue to be lowered. Executive Director of the Lao Chur-tak Institute of Global Economics and Finance at Chinese University. He says that cutting interest rates stimulates the SAR's economy.
1/4 of our economy is finance, and because of the cut in the interest rates in the last 2 years, the financial sector, especially the stock market, actually performed quite well, and also the USD market. So as far as financial sector is going well, the Hong Kong economy will not be too bad.
The U.S. Federal Reserve cut its key interest rate 3 times this year. Hong Kong's interest rate trends follow the U.S. because of the linked exchange rate system. Prime lending rates in the city were cut to a historic low of 5%, or 5.25% depending on the commercial bank. The Hang Seng Index continued to make gains for a second consecutive year. The HSI gained about 6,000 points as of December, or some 30% since the beginning of the year. A frequent commentator on the stock market, Alex Wong runs a fund investing in U.S. and Hong Kong shares. He says the development of Chinese artificial intelligence, DeepSeek, boosted investors' interest in shares of Chinese companies.
Because in the past, people think the AI development in China would be restrained by the U.S. restrictions on the chip exports. And then the computing power actually would limit the application. And DeepSeek actually make people rethink about that assumption, because they think the computing power may not be that important if you have the right method to compute. So that's why people are very bullish for Chinese AI at that time.
In the budget speech in February, Financial Secretary Paul Chan reduced stamp duty to 100 Hong Kong dollars for properties valued at 4 million Hong Kong dollars and below to boost support sentiment in the residential property market and uncertainty in interest rates.
I think the government is still keen to help the home starter in case the original asking price, which is 4.1, 4.2 million, the saving of around $60,000 transaction cost in terms of the stamp duty, which is quite substantial to them.
In September, people had mixed feelings about buying property.
經濟唔好啊嘛，好多人都冇嘢做，我睇淡，仲會跌添，20%到啦。
I'm now still looking for some appropriate property. I think the interest rates going down, which might help the residential market.
After the cuts in interest rates, by November, the first-hand home market reported more than 18,700 transactions, about a 17.5% increase compared with last year. The industry expects full-year transactions could reach about 20,000, marking a 6-year high. The second-hand home market recorded over 35,800 transactions by November, which is a 16.7% increase compared with 2024. As of mid-December, second-hand home prices rose by 5.4% in 2025, according to the Center City Leading Index.
Because of the drop in interest rate, also because of the drop in housing price, property now is slightly higher than the borrowing cost. So and that makes the housing price becomes a very attractive investment to invest in the property in Hong Kong, because they guarantee you 3-4%, which is higher than the interest rate.
Rental prices of residential homes rose more than 4.8% in the first 11 months of the year, according to the Center City Rental Index.
Because of increase in tourists, increase in the overseas student, and also increase in the talents who come to Hong Kong because of this talent scheme. So the demand for our space increased, and actually that pushed up the rent.
Over in the mainland, the Chinese economy is expected to reach its around 5% GDP growth target, the leaders set at the beginning of the year. China's economy is projected to grow by 5% in 2025, the International Monetary Fund said in December, up from its previous projection of 4.8% in October, as the world's second largest economy rolled out stimulus measures and faced lower than expected tariffs on its exports. U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports range from 10% to as high as 145% during the year. Faced with increased global trade risks in early May, several mainland financial institutions announced a package of policies to support real economic growth, including the People's Bank of China lowering the reserve requirement ratio by 0.5 percentage points, which was expected to inject 1 trillion yuan into the market.
The policy measures will provide financial institutions with a considerable amount of low-cost funds, which will help reduce liability costs for financial institutions. The policy is that will drive a steady decline in overall social financing costs, boosting market confidence and supporting the stable growth of the economy.
Despite the US-China trade war, China's trade surplus surpassed $1 trillion for the first time from January to November, driven by diversifying export markets and supply chains.
Tariff will like the U.S. Or the Sino-U.S. trade contract, but because U.S.-China trade now is only like less than 13% of the total China export in the world. So that actually doesn't affect much of the Chinese export. China has improved substantially in terms of these technological ones. So because of this new totally force, we actually upgrade our production efficiency by a lot. So we can produce more, we can export more. That's why tariff doesn't affect China that much.
Electric vehicles are one type of product that China exports globally. A Chinese car maker launched this new EV model in the UK, Europe, and Southeast Asia in the last few months. The model was tailor-made to meet different customers' tastes.
我建議加多 N288 建議。料多。
They put lots of attention on the interior qualities. So we use that word, sophisticated interior quality, to meet the need of Malaysia consumers' need.
Paul Gong leads research on the China automobile industry for an investment bank.
China accounts for 60% of the global cars production and demand. It has the largest capacity. And we move into the EVs, that is even more dominated by Chinese companies. You can have over 60% of the global EVs produced and sold by the Chinese brands.
While exports are growing, the Chinese economy faces challenges.
As you can see that the demand is low. The inflation rate is near zero. And also, because of the weak demand, people don't consume.
And the mainland property market remains sluggish. In November, new home prices in 70 cities fell 0.4% month-on-month, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. All eyes were on the U.S. in April when President Trump launched his tariff war on imports from around 90 nations, including China. The tariffs may be having an adverse effect on the U.S. economy.
So the labor market in the U.S. is not that good. It's deteriorating. The unemployment rate has reached 4.5%. I guess next year will be even worse. So I think this tariff policy will make the U.S. economy to start to enter into recession.
In October, the IMF projected the U.S. economy would expand by 2% in 2025. The forecast was lower than a year earlier because the IMF expects the tariffs would weaken the U.S. economy by creating more uncertainty for businesses. And global growth is projected to slow to 3.2% in 2025 from 3.3% in 2024, according to the IMF, as U.S. tariff threats continue and international trade patterns change. Over in Toronto, Canada, this garment manufacturer lost her job when her company closed in June. She used to work as a project manager for a 30-year apparel brand in Canada. The nursing bras and undergarments were designed in this country, and the clothes were manufactured in Sri Lanka, China, and Malaysia, and then shipped to Canadian and U.S. retailers. All of the company's manufacturing partners were affected by the U.S. tariffs on imports.
We were trying to survive since COVID. Business was up and down, but still not hitting our budget forecast. This year, the U.S. side seems going down, and I think that contributes to the decision of the closure.
Back in Hong Kong, The Economist predicts the SAR will have a very merry new year.
So our economy will be good as long as the interest rate is not that high. So the financial sector will still grow. And you can see that the retail sector is actually bouncing back. So I expect the Hong Kong economy to keep the momentum of like 3-4% of GDP growth in the next year.
That's the show. Thanks for watching. Pro Magazine returns next year with a look at how robots can be used in the community. Bye for now.